Hello everyone, we will talk about implementing classes in C, C++, part 2. We will discuss about constructor and other member functions. This is in continuation of part 1, implementing classes, in which we discuss about classes and objects in general. A member function is similar to any other function, but it must be prefixed by the class name, followed by double colon. Below is an example of function implementation, which is different from a function prototype that appears in the class definition. And the function prototype gives no indication of how the function accomplishes its work. So we have the function writeTime, which has no arguments and belongs to the class write. And the precondition is that the data member wait time needs to be positive, and the post condition will be it computes the total time spent on this write. So we add the write duration and the write wait, and we return it. When a data member, for example write duration, is called in a member function implementation, it comes from the object that activated the member function. If we forget to mention the class name and the scope operator, which is double colon, the compiler will treat it as an ordinary function, not belonging to any class. For example, the function writeTime with no arguments, which returns 60, it's different from the function writeTime, which belongs to the class write. Constructors are special member functions which provide an initialization function guaranteed to be called whenever an object is instantiated. Constructor is a member function with these special properties. It has the same name as a class name. It has 0 or more parameters. A constructor with no parameters is called a default constructor. It does not have any return value. Do not write void or any other return type. We can have only one default constructor per class. For example, in the class write, we have the default constructor, which has the same name as a class and no parameter. We can have a constructor with 4 parameters and other member functions. It's useful to provide different constructors for the same class because each can do a different kind of initialization. For example, the constructor with 4 parameters will initialize the data members of the calling object according to the parameters. We can put as a precondition that the string needs to be non-empty. The values for parameters D, W, and L need to be strictly positive. And then the result of this constructor will be that the write will have a new name, a new duration, a new wait time, and a map location based on the parameters. So all this constructor does is to call another public member function set values with the 4 parameters. The default constructor will initialize the data members of the calling object with some values. So we don't have any precondition, and then by default we say that the name of the write is it, the duration is 15, the weight is 60, and the location is 1, which is a park entrance. Please note that the 2 constructors are prefixed with the class name followed by the scope operator, which is double column, and they have no return type. So if we declare an object lunch which has no argument, then the default constructor will be called. If we declare another object write2 with 4 parameters, then we have the constructor with 4 parameters being called. If we declare a third object also with 4 parameters, again we will call the constructor with 4 parameters. When you place a function definition inside the class definition, we call that an inline member function. There is no semicolon before open and after close braces. This is recommended for short member functions that consist only of a single short statement. Each time you use an inline function, the compiler recompiles the short function definition and places it inside your code. So if you have long functions, the compilation will take longer and your code will be longer too. It saves some execution time, but makes it for longer machine code. The value semantics of a class determine how values are copied from one object to another. C++ provides automatically for every class an assignment operator. Given two objects x and y, the assignment y equal x copies the data members of x to y by copying each member variable from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. This is called automatic assignment operator. C++ also provides automatically a copy constructor. A copy constructor is a constructor with exactly one argument, which is an object of the same class. For class write, this will work fine, but when we use dynamic memory, the automatic assignment operator and the copy constructor will not work properly. So let's say that we have the object write2 with 4 parameters, and then we have the other object write3 with 4 parameters, and then we declare a third object write5 which has write2 as values. So all we need to do is that add the declaration to do initialization by using the copy constructor. This is equivalent with write5 equal write2. There is a difference between the assignment write6 equal write3 and write6 equal write3 done right after the declaration, in terms of what function member of class write is called, and I'll explain next. Let's say that we declare an object write6, and then later on we put write6 equal write3. In this case, the equal is the assignment operator. If we declare write6 and we put it equal write3 right at the declaration, then we call instead the copy constructor. A friend function is an ordinary function, not a member function, which has access to the private members of the object. The function prototype needs to be placed inside the class definition, prefixed by the keyword friend. For example, for the class write, let's declare a friend function, which is the isStream operator for populating the data members of the object RD with values. It does not matter where we declare the friend function, whether we declare it in so-called public section, in which we have all the public members, or the private section, because a friend function does not belong to the class. Therefore, the access specifiers do not play a role. Because it's not a member function, it's not activated by some object of the class. So for the overloaded operator in stream, it will be illegally to write name instead of rd underscore write name, because it is not part of the function. So while it can access the private members of the function, it needs to access the private members belonging to a specific object. It is not inside the class. It does not have an access modifier, so it doesn't matter whether it's in public, private, or protected zone in the class. And all the data must be present in the parameters of the friend function. A friend function can be any function, not only the operator functions, but should be limited to functions written by the programmer implementing the class. So when in doubt, try to make it a member function. If you cannot, then make it a friend. So what you should include in the header file? Documentation, including a precondition and postcondition for each function, class definition for any new classes, prototypes for any other function which are neither member nor friend function. What you should include in the implementation file? Include directive of the header file, implementation for the member functions, except the inline functions which are already defined inside the class, implementation for the friend function, and other non-member functions. This concludes part 2, constructors.